Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:05. Good afternoon. I'm Pamela Furr here with you. Friday. Hallelujah. In fact, it's a 3-day weekend. Now, if you're out and about, I will tell you right now, traffic is stupid. Mason, you came in here. Did you have to drive through any of that traffic today?
Oh, my goodness. It's driving me nuts.
It's really
I can't take
crazy.
it anymore.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I only had to go 10 miles, and it took me about 45 minutes to get here. It was crazy.
I would say I came from Murfreesboro, and it was driving me nuts trying to get through here from 24.
Yeah.
And all the city traffic with all the construction, driving me nuts.
Construction, city traffic, and now people are either trying to get out of town or we've got the foreigners trying to come into town
for the
weekend. So it's the best of all worlds there, I guess you would say. So be careful if you're driving, and as Ken Weaver likes to say, pack your patience because it's going to be a little crazy today. Now, I hope it's all gone by 4. I'm hoping these people that we just saw got an early start on the weekend. And then everybody else after that is just people staying here.
That would be great.
I would love that.
In city, I think it's going to clear up a little bit, but I think traffic heading out of town is definitely going to be heavy around that time.
It's going to be crazy. All right. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Belle. Belle is here and Mason is here today. We've got the whole crew here today. Is that something epic happened? Matt Murphy is off today, first of all. It is his birthday today. Do we sing? Happy birthday.
You can't use that's copyrighted.
That is not true.
I'm just kidding. It's
public domain. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Matt Murphy. Happy birthday to you. All right.
He's 50.
5-0.
So he's
today.
3 years younger than you?
He is 3 years older than me.
No.
He is, I'm sorry. That's 23 years older than me. Anyway, I'm teasing. And I'm going to punch you in the face, Belle, later. Something pretty epic happened last night. Now, he and I...
Trump showed up?
No. He and I co-hosted an event last night at the Maxwell House Hotel. And I think everybody's gone through the history of the Maxwell House Hotel. I don't have to go through that again. There were different lawmakers there. So you had Clark Boyd, Representative Clark Boyd from the Wilson County, or eastern Wilson County side, right? Great guy. Went with him to Texas to see the border. He's done a lot for the people of Lebanon, and he's done a lot for Tennessee. You had Senator Mark Pody. Everybody knows Senator Mark Pody. You had Senator Jack Johnson. Everybody knows Senator Jack Johnson. You had Congressman Mark Green, who was there and spoke about what he's doing with Alejandro Mayorkas. He talked about that and some other things. And Ravi Starbuck was there, who got to tell his true American story of his family coming from Cuba and what it was like there, and comparing the differences of things that happened in Cuba that allowed them to take over and become this communist kind of country, right? And how there's similarities of things happening here, and he sees it firsthand. Anyway, great American story from Ravi Starbuck.
Team long hair.
And he's cut his hair. It is shoulder length.
Robbie, if you are listening, I have disowned you. I have nothing to do with you anymore.
It is shoulder length. Now, he still looks like a rock star, but shoulder length, rock star. And, by the way, he's got an epic documentary that he's working on. He told me some info I can't tell you, sworn to secrecy, but he's been teasing it a bit on his socials. So if you get an opportunity to check it out, it's going to be pretty epic. One more person was there last night. Congressman Andy Ogles.
Oh, how did that go?
All right. So, immediately knowing Matt Murphy and knowing Andy Ogles, and you're going, okay. And so it was an interesting night. And I'll just tell you from my standpoint, Matt and I decided to kind of go back and forth on the intros. You'll do this one, I'll do the next one, you do this one. And how it fell, I was going to introduce Andy Ogles. And I thought, shoot, that would be a great opportunity for them to maybe make up or something, And so Matt would be introducing the next guest or speaker.
Well, it would either
right?
be that or just cold shoulder each other.
Like they do in the Tennessee General Assembly. Shoulder one. Anyway, so sure enough, I introduce Andy. Andy gives this great speech, and he walks off the stage so he's walking off, I guess, the left side of the stage as Matt Murphy is walking up. So they don't even make eye contact, right? I'm thinking, okay, well, it's just going to go off. And so Matt, out of no one asked him to do anything. Nobody said, you got to make nice. No, nothing. On his own, he starts commenting to Andy Ogles. And I'm going, what is he going to say? And he said, if there's ever an example, and this isn't verbatim, I'm just paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, there's ever an example of two people getting off on the wrong foot, it would have to be me and Congressman Andy Ogles. And he said some other things. Andy's been fighting hard for Tennesseans, and he's, this, and this. He said, so I will just have to say, that I was wrong about Andy Ogles. And, the whole room's going, and then there started to be some applause. Well, Andy had started to make his way back up to the stage. So when...
Oh, is he going to punch him?
So, well, who knew? You're like, that whole thing. So
Matt's constantly getting his ass kicked in public.
So as Matt is saying the words, I was wrong, Andy makes his way up to the stage, extends his hand, they shake hands, and they hug it out. On stage, they have embraced each other in brotherly love. It was fantastic.
Did they kiss?
They didn't. Not to my knowledge.
They didn't kiss. It doesn't count. It's all just for show if there was no kiss.
I don't believe there was kiss. But is that not great?
Yes, it is.
I think that's fantastic. Now the two of them can do some really good things together on the radio, I think.
Andy, if you'll call the hotline, we'll have you booked for when Mac's back from vacation.
Absolutely. So I just think that's great. So that's why I wanted Belle in the room, because I wanted to tell that story so everybody who's been a part of the Matt Murphy show could experience the greatness that was that hugging it out moment.
It's always good when we can get rid of some tension.
Exactly. So goodbye. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that.
I'll go get your water.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, I tell this story because I think it is important to note how powerful these three words are. I was wrong. Those three words can bring down the strongest, the largest, the most fortified walls in your life. I was wrong. There's a release in those words for both parties. If you're talking about another individual, or if you're talking about, an institution, or if you're talking about an ideology, there's a release when you say, I was wrong. And there's another set of words, 3 words that are just as powerful as I was wrong. You know what they are. I forgive you. Thank you for the water. I forgive you. That can bring down a stone cold wall, whether it's over your mind, whether it's over your heart, whether it's over your day. And we got to witness it yesterday. Now, I'm not saying that they both had some stone cold hearts, when it came to one another, but there were some walls there. You guys were witnesses to this. We were all witnesses to this. There were some things said, back, forth, whatever. And last night we got to witness forgiveness and reconciliation. Now, I don't know if they'll be the best of friends. I don't know that they're going to go hunting together or any of that. But together they can accomplish great things for the state of Tennessee. Together they can accomplish great things for Middle Tennessee just by saying, I was wrong and I forgive you. And I think that's a lesson for a lot of us. I think it's a lesson in politics even. I know Vivek Ramaswamy is getting a lot of pushback right now. And I have to be honest, I haven't dug as deeply as perhaps others have. But I would say when you're looking at Vivek and others, by the way, others, when it comes to the presidency, remember this. He was 20 years old, not that too long ago. He was young, not that too long ago. And I know for me, although at my core, at my heart, I have been a conservative my entire life, some of my beliefs have changed over the years. I've kept an open mind on some things. There's some things you can't. There's some things that are such, in my opinion, a spiritual law that it doesn't matter what you think, it still is. Truth is truth. Right? Truth is truth, no matter what. So when you're looking at Vivek or Nikki Haley or looking at others and you go, well, yeah, I don't know, 10 years ago, this is what they were saying. Do you believe exactly the same way today as you did 10 years ago? I would say if you're at a certain age, you probably do. But if you're transitioning from 20 years old to 40, in those 20 years, things change. You change as an individual. You grow as an individual. And you end up becoming more solid in what your beliefs are, or you become moldable. Maybe, is that the word? No. That's not what I'm trying to say. You become more flexible in some of the things that you didn't really have any idea about until you started living life. Till you started having children or having to pay your own bills or had gotten laid off from your job because of COVID. Things changed in your life and you realized some of these core beliefs that you thought you had were based on shifting sand and were not sustainable. And you've discovered the truth of how you can succeed in your life, and that is to be independent of the government. Make your own decisions. Have more money in your pocket instead of sending it all to the government. I mean, I can go on and on down the list of what it means to be successful as an American and as a Tennessean. But I guarantee you at 22, your idea of what success was began to change when you started having kids or went to college or paying your own bills, all of those things I just said. So as you're looking at these candidates for president and these candidates for whatever office you're looking at, things do change. And I would venture to say that some of those running for office, if really pressed about some things they used to believe, they would say to you, I was wrong. I was wrong about that. And today, this is how I believe. And here's the reason why. And this is what I'm going to do about it to change it in this country. That's what I'm looking for. It is 12:19. I had to share what I believe is an epic Matt Murphy story on his 50th birthday. I think it's fantastic, and it is wonderful when God's people can come together. What is it? The scripture, come let us reason together. And that was cool to see last night. Thank you for letting me share. You know, it is Friday, and you know what we do on Fridays. Do you have it ready, Mason? Probably not, because we haven't talked about it. It's called Freak Out Friday, And we're going to do that on the Matt Murphy Show today when we come back. Stick around. I'm Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy. Our super text line is 615-737-9986. That's also our telephone line. You are more than welcome to pick up the phone and call. I appreciate all of it. We'll be back in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:23. I am Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy, who's having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Matt Murphy. It's also what we like to call around here Freak Out Friday.
Aw, freak out. You freak. Say she. Freak out.
That's right. Where whatever is freaking you out, please share with Sister Pamela. Please share with Dollar Store Reba, as they like to call me. You can do that if you'd like. 615-737-9986 is the phone number, and that is also the super text line. I guess somebody's taking me to task a little bit about what I said on Vivek Ramaswamy. Look, what I admitted, I have not done a deep dive on what he said 10 years ago compared to what he's saying now. I have not. But I'm just saying, keep an open mind when it comes to all of the presidential candidates. Look, there's a man right now that I have been disappointed in. I've been very disappointed in Ron DeSantis, only because of his energy level. when I've seen him and do actual speeches, not pulling sound bites from the speeches, but actually speak at different events. He was here in Nashville a month or so ago. His energy level for me was just very low, and he seems to lack in some social skills. So for me, that was disappointing. But what's happening in Florida right now with this hurricane and the damage that they've had there and whatnot, he's doing exactly what he does best, and that's govern. Are we supposed to be choosing presidents based on their pretty speeches? Or are we supposed to be voting for president based on their ability to govern? And I would say it's the second part of this whole conversation. Their ability to govern. And when push comes to shove in Florida, Governor DeSantis seems to have the trust of his people there when there is an emergency. When there was COVID, Ron DeSantis stood up and did well by his people. Did he not? He's been praised for his COVID response. And when there are hurricanes and things of that nature, natural disasters, he does what he does best for his people. So I commend him for that. Nikki Haley at one point was the same way in the South Carolina governor's mansion. When there were disasters, she did what she did best at the time. She governed. And she led her people through some of the disasters that they faced in their state. So, anyway, that's my statement on that. I was listening to Mark Levin last night coming home from this event where Matt Murphy and I both were at yesterday. And he was praising Ron DeSantis for what he's doing in Florida right now. And it was very interesting because we know Mark Levin is a huge Donald Trump supporter. And so to hear that, I mean, look, truth is truth, and he does well for his people there in Florida. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. Let's go to Tim, who's in Nashville. Hey, Tim, welcome to the Matt Murphy Show.
How's it going today?
Great. Good to hear from you.
Hey, listen, just tuning in as usual. Hearing you talking about Ron DeSantis. Are you a fan of football?
Of course I'm a fan of football. Are you kidding? College football starts tomorrow.
There you go, baby. It's starting.
Roll Tide.
I just want to what's that?
Go ahead.
Did you say Roll Tide?
Maybe.
Oh, all day long, baby. All day
there
long.
There we go.
I'm from Alabama, but I'm here in Nashville. Okay, here's the deal. Ron DeSantis doing a great job in Florida. Maybe he's an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator that just maybe needs to stay where he's at and not reach for that head coach job. Maybe he needs to stay in Florida because of the fights with Trump. We need to let him finish this out. Just let's get behind him. Let's go with Trump. We need DeSantis in Florida. We need him to hold down that state because if they snake that state from us or Texas, you know it's over.
We're screwed.
So, Ron DeSantis, big thumbs up. Let's keep him in Florida for right now. His time is maybe 4 or 8 years from now. That's just my comment. I'll hang up and let you.
All right. Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate the phone call. We are certainly getting lots of comments on the super text line. I'll say this. And we're going to talk about this at 12:35. What I'm watching and what I'm witnessing is what I feel like is a Democrat Party who is doing everything they can to stop Donald Trump from winning in the general election. Everything they can. They are pulling out all this. We thought it was bad before. I mean, now you've got all these criminal charges and federal charges against Donald Trump and others, right? So they're pulling out all the stops. There's no guarantee in Georgia that he's going to be able to win his case. Let's just be honest. I hope he does. I don't know how you find an unbiased jury. I don't know how you find a neutral jury in this case. How can you? So is he going to get a fair trial? And if he does get a fair trial, there's no way to know whether he'll be convicted or not. And if he is convicted, at that point, can he continue to run for president of the United States? See, at that point, then it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, I would think, because there would be appeal after appeal after appeal. And I know that he's wanting to wait for his trial not to happen in October. I do not blame him. At the same time, if he goes ahead and does it, maybe we can get this to the Supreme Court. And then maybe by January, February, we don't have to talk about this anymore. Because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of talking about it. But what happens if they don't get the conviction? I thought some things that Tucker Carlson said to Adam Carolla. I think you guys have been talking about that here on WTN. If you haven't, look it up. I thought some of the things that Tucker Carlson said to Adam Carolla were reckless, like the comments he made about Barack Obama. Although he's right, a lot of reporters blew that story off instead of investigating that story. But a long time ago, I mean, we're talking, 2008? But his comments about what's next if they can't get Trump in court, what are we setting ourselves up for? Now, is that reckless or is that the truth? I find that interesting. An interesting concept and a dangerous one and a frightening one to be so threatened by an individual. And I think it would certainly, I don't know. This our country seems to be a little crazy right now as it is. A lot of people are losing hope. Don't lose hope. America is great. America will continue to be great. We just have to join in on the fight here, in my opinion. All right, 12:32. More coming up. I'm Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy, the birthday boy, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:36. I am Pamela Furr. Glad to be with you today. And for Matt Murphy, the birthday boy. He'll be gone today and he'll be gone all next week. I get the opportunity to fill in while he is gone. I think he's told everybody what he's doing, I guess. He's going to be on his motorcycle with his brother going across the country.
Nice little road trip, yeah.
Little road trip with the bro. So that should be a lot of fun. So I told him, turn off the Twitter, turn off the socials, go enjoy, and then you can share pictures when you get back. But I'm not his mother. He doesn't have to listen to me. That's just a suggestion, a friendly suggestion. Give a birthday present to yourself and just kind of unplug from the world.
Yeah, not supposed to work on vacation.
Not supposed to work on vacation. And socials, in this business, socials end up being working. So, yeah, I would hope that he would do that. So Donald Trump pleaded not guilty yesterday. It's the Georgia election interference case, and it may be entering its most frenzied period yet, as the conflicting legal strategies of 19 co-defendants and the crowded calendar for the former president's other court cases complicate the path to a trial. Now, I think I've been reading today, the news is he wants to separate from the other co-defendants, which also include Rudy Giuliani. And I'm still blown away that Rudy Giuliani, who was the mastermind right behind RICO, is getting charged with RICO. It's crazy to me. The potential course ahead here is getting kind of complicated, right? Several defendants are seeking to have their cases tried in federal court. 2 defendants have moved for a speedy trial to occur, right? And some want their cases served or severed, that is, from others so that they can move at their own pace, and Donald Trump is one of them. Bob Rubin, who is a criminal defense attorney, says we're in a huge state of flux right now. He says because the case involving these 19 defendants seems to be going in a lot different directions, all at the same time is very, very unusual. Now, there is a district court judge. His name is Steve Jones. He's weighing whether Mark Meadows can have his Georgia criminal case tried in federal rather than state court. Meadows claimed the activities outlined in the indictment fell under his official duties as White House Chief of Staff, meaning he has a right to remove his case to federal court. If he's successful, one likely benefit to him would be a broader, more Republican-leaning jury pool, as jurors would come from 10 counties in northern Georgia, not just Fulton County. That's important. I would think that that would be a strategy that Donald Trump would want to use. There's a law professor at Georgia State University who says there's also another potential benefit for Meadows. His name is Anthony Michael Kreis. At the end of the day, if Mark Meadows was able to show he was acting entirely consistent with what the federal law authorized him to do, then he has a strong case to suggest the Constitution's Supremacy Clause renders any prosecution by the state of Georgia null and void. In other words, Meadows may try to claim immunity from prosecution because the state of Georgia can't criminalize conduct the federal government explicitly allows. I think that would be brilliant, quite frankly. Former U.S. Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark is also seeking to have his case tried in federal court. So are David Schaefer, Kathy Latham, who also claimed to be official electors for the state, though most legal experts agree their effort is a really big stretch. Trump may also try a similar move. His lead counsel observed what happened in Mark Meadows' hearing on Monday, taking notes. But first, Judge Jones will need to weigh whether Meadows' activities, like offering campaign funding to a Georgia official to speed up a signature audit, sending an email referring to the coordination of fake electors and facilitating Trump's phone call, et cetera, really were part of his official duties. Fulton County prosecutors argue that those actions could not have been under the scope of Meadows' White House job. The Hatch Act restricts federal officials from engaging in campaign activity in their official capacity, though Meadows denies that's what he was doing. So that's interesting. All of that is interesting to me. It's fascinating. It gets into the weeds. But honestly, if you're just relying on Fulton County jurors, these guys might be screwed. If you fan it out to include 10 other counties in the state of Georgia, you have a better chance of having a more conservative or Republican jury. Meanwhile, defendants Kenneth Cheesebro and Sidney Powell, both lawyers for Trump after the 2020 election, have moved for a speedy trial. They want it done. Let's get this over with. Georgia law allows defendants to demand a trial within the same term of court as their indictment was handed up, or in the following one. So Fulton Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, who is presiding over the case, has set Cheesebro's trial date. By the way, what a great name, Cheesebro, because I love cheese. Cheesebro. Anyway, they've set his date for October 23rd. I don't know if Sidney Powell's request has been granted yet. If not, obviously it's pending. The most common reason to call for a speedy trial is for a client who is detained in jail awaiting trial without bond. That's the normal part. In this case, avoiding a lengthy trial with 19 co-defendants may reduce some legal fees. So maybe they're hurting for money. I don't know why they want the speedy trial. Get it over with, get this done with. For me, and I'm not a political strategist, you understand, but if you're talking about Donald Trump, stretching it out till after the election would be a good strategy. At the same time, keeping this out of just let's get this over with and done with, for crying out loud, so that we can get on with the business of running for president of the United States. I would think that's what he would want to do. I'm not a political strategist. I don't have good advice here. I don't see how he could get a fair trial. I said that a few minutes ago, maybe even in the earlier segment. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has pledged to try all 19 Georgia defendants together in a sweeping racketeering race, and she says she's ready. She's ready to take the whole thing to trial October the 23rd. I don't know how, though many defense lawyers have said that's unlikely due to the logistics alone. It's a huge paper case, thousands and thousands, terabytes. Do you know how much a terabyte is? That's pretty huge. It's big. Terabytes of documents will be produced to the defendants. So it's going to be really hard for some of the defendants to be able to get ready to go through all the discovery by an October trial date. Think about that. And to be able to, if you're even going to be able to go through all the discovery by that trial date, you're going to have to hire more people to work on the case. And that's going to cost a lot of money. I don't know that all of these defendants have the Donald Trump kind of money. I was reading somewhere where Rudy Giuliani is actually running out of money. And he's facing a defamation trial. Although a judge has ruled in the case already, the trial will determine how much he will have to pay in damages for libel, right? Liable against two women that they say were defamed. That Rudy Giuliani lied about them and they have not recovered from those lies. And by the way, America's mayor, I'm a fan of Rudy Giuliani. I'm a fan of what he did to the mob. I am a fan of his prosecution career. I'm a fan of how he handled New York City. America's mayor. This man admitted saying things that were not true about these two women. It's on record. I'm not pulling that out of my behind. That bothers me a lot, guys. That bothers me a whole lot. He said it's within his free speech, constitutionally protected speech, that he could say lies about these women. I guess it's true. The First Amendment also says, I could sit here and say Mason is a redhead. It would be a total lie. But I'm protected by the First Amendment to say it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Excuse me. Nothing at all, young man.
I don't think I could pull it off as good as you do, though.
See, thank you. My point is, because he admitted on record, he's going to have to pay a hefty price for that. He says he doesn't have much money anymore. He certainly doesn't have the Donald Trump kind of money. I'm disappointed in America's mayor on that one. All right, enough about that. That's about the trial, the upcoming trial. It is complicated. I think it was designed to be complicated because now our eyes are off what's really happening with Biden, with Hunter, with Bidenomics, with unemployment, with all of those things. And we're talking about a stupid trial in Georgia that could have devastating ramifications if you are voting for Donald Trump for president. It could. It is time for a break. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. It is Freak Out Friday. So anything you want to talk about or super text, that's where you hit it. When I do this, that's where you hit Freak Out Friday. There you go. Anyway, you can comment on the super text line. I'll read some of those here in just a moment, or you can give us a call on Freak Out Friday, 615-737-9986. We'll take those calls and super texts when we come back on the Matt Murphy Show, 615-737-9986, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement, put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated. Portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return is going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:56. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy. It is Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. 615-737-98. Well, good grief. I just smushed that together. 615-737-9986. It's been a minute since I've had to say those phone numbers. Let's go to Jeff, who's on the line in Hendersonville. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the Matt Murphy Show.
Pamela, I'm freaking out that the press really is not covering anything that's going on with Biden in regards to internationally, geopolitically, financially.
The press.
Coke in the White House, was it $5 million that known in a bank account? I mean, I'm literally floored. I'm from San Diego. We fled here. We're political refugees.
I'm glad you're here. Thank God. How long have you been here?
2 years.
Excellent.
Figuring it out, sort of. But at the end of the day, look, we all know 2024. Remember, like New Year, you'd go, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to hang out with friends. Buy my wife more diamonds.
Right.
Hope. But now we know this upcoming year is just going to be crap. We know shenanigans are going to happen, and what a thing to look forward to. Also, too, just driving in Hendersonville, two F-15s or 18s just flew over Hendersonville. Kind of cool. I thought I was on the 15 by Miramar Air Station again. It was weird, but not Hendersonville.
But remember, you've got Fort Campbell just right up the road.
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out. But anyway, I'm just freaked out, really, that the press is completely – turn this around. The border, 3 million people through. I have Iraqi friends that snuck through in the 80s, and even then, they had to run a gamut. It's a really scary thing. We should all be concerned. Said enough. Have a great day.
Thank you. And thank you, Jeff, for moving to Tennessee. Again, we're glad to have you. I would say to you, don't freak out. I know this is Freak Out Friday, but tell it to Sister Pamela, and then hopefully I can encourage you not to freak out because, it's not over. The best days are not behind us. They are in front of us. We just have to get involved. We have to stay informed. You can't rely on the old press to tell you the truth. The ABC, CBS, NBCs, all of those. You can't do that. You got to look for yourself and make sure that you stay informed on what's happening with Joe Biden, with all of that corruption, with what's going on at the border. And you know what? You can do that by staying right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The 3-year pandemic pause on federal student loans is lifting in parts. Interest begins accruing again today, and payments resume for millions of Americans October 1st. ABC's Alexis Christoforous has more on what borrowers should know as these payments begin again.
Ask your service lender for a deferment or forbearance. This will temporarily freeze your payments. With forbearance, though, it's important to know that interest will continue to accrue even though those payments are frozen. And if your loan was not in good standing prior to the freeze, before the pandemic, make sure you sign up for the government's Fresh Start program, and that will bring your loan back into good standing.
The Labor Department's latest figures show that 187,000 jobs were added in August. That beat expectations, but also shows that it's cooling in the wake of the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes. President Biden today says it shows the economy is resilient.
People are coming off the sidelines, getting back to their workplaces.
The president travels to Florida tomorrow to tour some of the destruction caused by Hurricane Idalia. It hit Florida's west coast as a Category 3. Residents in hard-hit Horseshoe Beach returning today, salvaging what they can. Tammy Bryan says her church was heavily damaged.
There's really no words to describe how you feel and what you feel at the time.
Remembrance and healing across the Hawaiian Islands today.
As the sun rose over the Hawaiian Islands, ancient ceremonies were held from island to island for emotional and spiritual healing, beginning a day of prayer. Maui Mayor Richard Bisson.
The grief, hardship, and suffering our people are experiencing are unimaginable.
The day of ceremonies being broadcast via radio to all of the islands, embracing the history of Hawaii and its healing.
ABC's Alex Stone. You're listening to ABC News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good afternoon. I'm Pamela Furr. Glad to have you with us today. It is finally Friday. So glad it's Friday. It's been one heck of a week around these parts. And by the way, it's also Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986. That is the phone number if you would like to call into the show today. It is Matt Murphy's birthday, so if you even want to send a message to Matt, I don't know if he's listening or not, but we can certainly record it and give it to him. Why not? Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to say Matt Murphy, happy birthday, it's his big 50. You know, all right, I'm about to confess something here. When I turned the big 50, that was so hard. I think I'm gonna be sick. That was hard to say. When I turned the big 50, I was able to take a trip to Ireland, and it was so amazing. So I hope that he has as much fun as I did on my 50th birthday. When he takes his trip with his brother on a motorcycle across this great country of ours. So what are you freaking out about? You know what I find interesting, and I don't know if my computer is there, young Mason. What is so interesting to me is that we have a president that is so tone deaf on what's really happening in this country. President Biden today took a victory lap in the Rose Garden following this morning's job report that shows employers added 187,000 jobs in August, indicating that what he thinks is happening is a resilient labor market, even in the wake of the Federal Reserve's rising interest rates. Biden calling this, quote, one of the strongest job-creating periods in the history of our country, and celebrating the resiliency of the American workers during this period. Here's what he said verbatim.
It wasn't that long ago that 20 million Americans were out of work. But the American people didn't give up. They never give up.
Well, I would agree with him on that. We never give up. The American people never give up. But I got to tell you, to tout how many people lost their jobs during COVID and to take credit for people going back to work as it being something that he created because of his Bidenomics, that he is successful. I mean, that's just, to me, so tone deaf of the truth. Here's another comment from Joe Biden.
Well, I'm proud of the historic legislation my administration has passed and the policies we've enacted. The real heroes in this story are the American people, average Americans. They're the ones getting up every day, putting their heads down, going out that door and going to work.
I don't disagree with that either. They are the ones putting their heads down on their pillows at night. But I would add to that statement, Mr. President, that they're not sleeping well. And you want to know why? Because they're having a hard time paying their bills. Yes, they go out the door the next day and they go to work. That's right. But it's costing them more to go to work, to feed their families, to put gas in their vehicles every day. You can take a victory lap all you want, but the reality is the voters just aren't buying that Bidenomics are working. To hear President Biden and his team tell it, he was handed, an unusually bad hand in 2021 when he took the oath of office because of COVID, right? Although the COVID-19 economy had already begun to turn around in the last months of Donald Trump, to listen to Biden, the challenges he faced dwarfed those of other administrations, and he couldn't be more wrong. Reagan and Obama came into the White House in the midst of major economic problems. When Reagan took office, some of you may recall, some of you were alive then, like yours truly. I was a baby, but nonetheless, when Reagan took office, the country was reeling from 11.8% inflation, 7.5% unemployment. When Obama took over in 2009, in January of 2009, he faced unemployment at 7.8% and a wobbly financial sector and a country on edge. When Biden became president, the inflation rate was 1.4%. Let me say that again, 1.4%. Much of the work to bring down the COVID pandemic's historic unemployment was already underway. It had dropped from a high of 14% in April of 2020 to 6.3% by January 2021. So he can try to do that little victory dance in the Rose Garden all he wants to, but here's the rule, here's the truth. Here's the numbers. By January of 2021, it was lower than both Reagan and Obama in their first month in office. Biden can't take credit for that. That wasn't Biden. But there's a significant difference between Biden and the approach of the previous presidents. While the unemployment numbers continue to decrease under Biden, returning to 2019 pre-COVID levels. By the way, this is from Roll Call. His solution to the COVID economy was a package of trillion-dollar spending bills that generated a whole new problem. And that was a sharp increase in the rate of inflation. Unlike Reagan, who was handed a double-digit inflation rate that had been ongoing for almost 2 years, Biden got an inflation rate that was remarkably low. And he squandered that with his decision to trade the successful supply side of economics of Reagan for the long discredited economic policies of central planning. And now, my friends, you're paying more for beef and bacon and milk and eggs and gas and electricity. The things that you need every day to go live your American life. So yes, Mr. President, the heroes are the Americans who lay their heads down at night and get up the next day and go to work. But it's a troubled sleep because they're not sure the work that they do every day is going to keep them in the black. They're not sure the work that they do every day is going to keep the electricity on or is going to keep the food in the pantry or in the freezer or whatever. And that's a problem, Mr. President. 615-737-9986. It is Freak Out Friday. We want you to give us a call. What are you freaking out about today? Let's go to Cedric, who is in Kentucky. Hey, Cedric, welcome to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I call y'all. I mean, I listen to y'all just about every morning. And enjoy the show. Of course, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but I've been into politics about 35 years. I'm 65 years old, and I'll make this brief. President Trump did make a statement during his time in office, and he did tell the truth. Me personally, I called this one myself for the election in 2020, and once Biden was put in office, now I'm not trying to give y'all any doubt, but he called it himself. Once Biden got in office, there will never be another Republican president in office in the United States of America, at least for the next 20 years. And we're going to have to get ready and get used to a woman president. They got somebody rising up right now that they're waiting on to just get ready. You're seeing a lot moving around, and Biden is not going to be the one that they're going to use to try to get back in next year. It's going to be Hillary Clinton.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think she's
okay.
Thank you for your call. We'll see. I 100% hope you're wrong. That's number one. And number two, she's not likable, man. If she couldn't do it before, you think she's going to be able to do it now? She's not likable. And how old is she now? And even then, when she was running against Donald Trump the first time that Donald Trump ran, there were some rumors about her health problems. We've got ourselves a problem, I think, in this country with some of our political candidates. They're up there in age, and I don't, not for 1 second, want you to think that I'm trying to insult those who are older. I'm not. But at some point, you've got to say, okay, it's done. It's over. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to be with my family in my coming days of life. Mitch McConnell is one of them. If his family doesn't have the talk, and it's an uncomfortable talk, but you have to eventually have a conversation with your elderly loved ones and say, give me the keys to the car. Or say, you don't need to be, we're about to have that conversation with my father. You don't need to be driving like you're driving anymore. These long distances that you like to drive, you got to stop doing that. My dad will pick me up he's 81. He'll pick me up from the airport because I'm too cheap to rent a dang car, right? So he'll pick me up from the airport, and I feel like I'm putting my life in my hands, or in my father's hands. I feel like at any moment we're going to roll over because he's just all, I think he's going to flip the car because he's all over the road. We're going to have that talk. We had it with my mother 10 years ago. You can't drive anymore, and she doesn't. My dad's doing all the driving, so we're going to have to say stay local. I'm being a little light with this a bit. I mean, the bottom line is Mitch McConnell, Joe Biden, Dianne Feinstein, all of them. It's time to have that conversation and say, go home. Because what you're doing is a disservice to your loved one, for crying out loud, and it's a disservice to this country. But I digress. You were talking about Hillary Clinton. She's up there, too. How old is she? Did you look it up?
Yeah, I pulled up her age. She's 75 years old.
She's 75 years old. And she has had some health problems. Now, is she cognitively there? Yes. But I don't know that she's likable enough to win. I just don't. Kamala certainly isn't likable enough to win. If Hillary was likable enough to win, she would have won in 2016.
Absolutely. With how many times she's run, I would have thought she would have won by now if that were the possibility.
Correct. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Blake, who's on the line in Nashville. Hey, Blake.
Oh, hey, Pamela.
Hey.
Just a couple of things. I just want to say happy birthday to Matt Murphy, of course. Been a big fan of the show for a long time. I go back to the Phil days, and I love Dan Mandis and yourself, of course. I think Rudy Giuliani has money. I think his idea of being broke is still having millions of dollars.
He's got $5 million instead of 10.
Whoa.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
I don't know what he has. I'm just saying, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could make more money if he wanted to. He could maybe do something, write a book, but I'm sure he's done that. While we're on the subject of new politicians, I am running for mayor in 2027 in Nashville.
You are?
Yeah.
Why?
For sure. Because I want to see a greater good done to Nashville, and I want to be the first mayor to not receive a salary. I want my salary to go to safer schools, hiring retired veterans and trained professionals, to take care of the schools. I also want to bring better programs for the homeless here in Nashville, set up something to help them find jobs and resources for their mental health. I'd also like to, I can't single-handedly legalize marijuana, but I would definitely push to have that decriminalized and taxed for the greater good of Nashville.
So why didn't you run this time?
I wasn't old enough.
How old are you?
Let's see, 1994, whatever Google says. But I'll be eligible.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You don't know how old you are?
I'm 28.
Okay. Because I'm going, if you can't answer that basic question, I don't know that I want you for our mayor.
It's part of my personality.
Okay.
I know how
so are you independently wealthy?
No, I'm not independently wealthy, but I'm very self-made.
All right. So then my next question is this. Do you know how much the mayor makes?
No idea.
So the mayor, $27.87 an hour. So you giving back your salary, I don't know is going to help a whole lot with the bottom line, but I get your point. Well, Blake, I mean, good luck to you. Anybody who wants to run should be able to run.
Thank you.
Obviously, you need to vote. So who are you voting for in the Nashville mayor's race? And we have silence. You can't answer that question either? Okay. Have a good day. 6-1. Blake. Running Blake for mayor. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. It is 121. I'm Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 126. I'm Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy. Glad to have you here. The birthday boy is taking the day off. He'll be back not next week, but the week after, right? I believe it's actually September 11th is when he will return to this microphone. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you once again. It's Dollar Store Reba, as they like to call me, which I find hilarious. Now, we were talking a little bit before we take another break here. We were talking a little bit about elections. Some guy was freaking out about the future. And I say, just deep breaths. If we can get Biden out of office, it's going to be okay. I was doing some research this morning, and I found some interesting polling numbers, if you believe the polls. And I'm weird on polling. I'm just going to tell you. You're taking a sampling of people, but the truth is it depends on what you're asking and how you're asking the question. To me, that's how you get accurate information. I need to know what the question was, kind of thing. But regardless, Real Clear Politics, they mush all the polling together, right? And so with that, they feel like they can get a true pulse on what the future holds. And when you go to Real Clear Politics 2024, when you're looking at the polling in the general election, when you're looking at the matchups, it's interesting to me. It's showing that Biden wins in a matchup against Donald Trump, but the gap has closed in a little bit. It's only by a 0.8% margin, plus 0.8 Biden has over Trump. In the general election, Biden versus DeSantis, it's 4.7% in Biden's favor. If it's Trump versus Kamala Harris, Trump beats her by 5%. I think that number is not high enough. I don't think even among Democrats, Kamala Harris would get that kind of percentage. I really don't. So think about that as we look towards 2024. Now, a lot can happen between now and 2024, Election Day, November 2024. But we've got primaries that are coming up in the next couple of months. We've got Super Tuesday here in, I believe it's March of 2024. The bottom line is, whoever it is that wins the Republican primary has to be able to beat Joe Biden, or we are screwed. We have to take the Senate back. I've always said this. You guys know this. For years that I've been here at WTN. Been here for 10 years. I'm not as concerned about the White House as I am about the Senate and the House. We are very lucky in the state of Tennessee. We've got good ones. Oh, speaking of which, there's an announcement that may be coming on Tuesday regarding the Senate race in the U.S. Senate race in 2024. I've got more on that coming up, and your phone calls and your super texts. 615-737-9986. Freak Out Friday, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 1:34. I am Pamela Furr. In for Matt Murphy. Happy birthday to Matt Murphy today. Super Talk 615-737-9986. It's Freak Out Friday. What are you freaking out about today? What is it? You got to share that with Sister Pamela. Share that with Dollar Store Reba. Richard is in Tullahoma who wants to talk about what's freaking him out today. Hey, Richard.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. What is on your mind?
Well, I just personally believe that there's at least 4 people should be impeached right now. But I'm on, of course, Garland, Ray, Mayorkas, and Biden. But that being said, what is the penalty for lying to Congress? Is it an impeachable offense?
Is it an impeachable offense to lie to Congress? Well, I mean, I think you can be impeached for lots of reasons. Impeachable offense. Hold on.
In addition to that, recognizing the Justice Department, that should be impeachable. Would you say that, please?
Will I say that? Well, I mean, is it my opinion that you should be impeached for lying to Congress? 100%. If you are a member of someone's administration, if you are a cabinet member and you lie to Congress, I absolutely think you should lose your job. Yes.
Okay. Well, we also know that Garland has definitely lied because him or Weiss won because they had contradicted on who had what authority to proceed with prosecution.
Well, now that is a lie, or is that an opinion? See, here's I think some people get lies and opinions mixed up, right? Doesn't lie speak to?
Okay.
Well, let me finish. So, doesn't lie speak to intent? So if I lie to you, I am purposely trying to deceive you. But if it is my genuine opinion that this is the way things are and I'm wrong, it doesn't mean that I lied to you or Congress or anybody else. It just means my opinion was wrong.
Okay, that's fair enough. But let me say this, please. You know, Weiss, when Ted Cruz questioned him or whatnot, when Comer questioned him, they said that, you know, he didn't have the authority to, after the IRS agents said he didn't have permission or he didn't have the ability to go ahead and charge Hunter Biden because he wasn't in charge. And then Mayorkas tells Cruz when he interviews him that he has free to do what he wants to. So somebody has lied. Now it's Mayorkas. Garland. It's Garland.
Yeah. So is it a lie or is it an opinion to try to wash their hands of it? Did they intentionally try to deceive Congress, or were they intentionally trying to cover their you-know-whats? And see, I think in the way that you just described, it was intentionally trying to cover their butts and pass the buck onto somebody else. Was it a blatant lie or just, look, it wasn't my responsibility? Is that a lie or is that an opinion?
Well, it has to be a fact that one of them, I don't know which one, Weiss or Ray has lied, because one of them said, Garland said he had the ability to proceed with charges at no restrictions. And then Weiss comes back and says, no, I don't have that. So obviously one of them, I don't know which one, has lied.
How about incompetence?
Okay, well, what have you. But, okay, well, I just want to run one more thing by you.
Sure.
Just your opinion. Garland has weaponized the Justice Department. There's no question.
Right.
So I'm thinking if you go ahead and impeach Garland first, Mayorkas definitely deserves to be impeached. The board is a disaster.
Right, but what are you impeaching Garland for?
Or I hope turning the Justice Department to an injustice department and targeting Trump to interfere with the election. That's obviously what's happening. So if you were to impeach him, whether it will not get through the Senate.
Yeah,
because
but you have to.
That.
I mean, well, see, here's. I'm sitting here saying you have to prove that he actually did it to actually impeach him. But boy, didn't they change that when they did it with Donald Trump? So
Yeah. Well,
the standard of impeachment seems to have gone by the wayside these days. So,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, now on Mayorkas, I know that, thank you very much, Richard, for your telephone call. I know that Mark Green is working very hard in investigating Alejandro Mayorkas. And in fact, he talked about this. We were at an event with him last night. He talked about it. This 5-point plan that he has in investigating Alejandro Mayorkas for, I would say, dereliction of duty, certainly when it comes to homeland security for this country. But there's a 5-point plan, and I'm actually going to talk to Mark Green about all of this next week here on the show as I fill in. So we'll get a chance to spend some time and find out where he is on those investigations. But I have to wonder if we're wasting time. I'm just throwing this out here. This is not my opinion. I'm asking the question. Are we wasting time with, well, let's impeach this guy? And you say, oh, let's impeach this guy because I don't like what he's doing. Oh, let's impeach this guy because I don't like what this guy is doing. If we continually do this, when are we going to get to the business of the people? When are we going to get to the policies that have an impact on you and I? Hopefully, Alejandro Mayorkas will be gone in a year. Hopefully, Christopher Wray will be gone in a year, and Merrick Garland gone in a year, and we don't have to worry about him anymore. If we can let the process of elections play out, we won't have to worry about him anymore. That is, if we are confident that a Republican can win back the White House. That's what I think you have to look at. Is it worth the time that you're going to spend, or would you be better off spending efforts on... Now, with the Mark Green and Alejandro Mayorkas, the quicker we can get through this investigation, the quicker, hopefully, we can figure out some of the problems going on at the border. The latest story on an ISIS, I believe it was an ISIS sympathizer getting through at the southern border, should scare the bejesus out of every one of us. I fear that, so many people have forgotten what happened on 9/11 and how it happened on 9/11, that they've become complacent to our homeland security. They've become complacent to border security. So many people have done, and now you have an entire generation, it's obviously no fault of their own, but an entire generation who wasn't alive when it happened. So all they know are the stories they've been told from mama and grandpa and grandma of where they were on that day and what things were like when that happened. I don't know that they're teaching the truth in schools about 9/11 and how members who flew those planes into the towers, how they got into this country in the first place. Who they were, what they were about, who they were following, jihadists and the like. No one is talking about any of that anymore. When you talk about Border Patrol and the southern border, what do you think of immediately? Well, you think of illegal aliens, right? And you think Hispanic, Latino, whatever. You forget that there is a real enemy out there, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, whatever they're calling themselves these days, Islamic terrorists who are willing to wait it out till they see the vulnerabilities in this country. And they're still waiting for the moment to wreak havoc to the great America and embarrass them on the world stage, cause calamity on the world stage, and take out as many people as possible as they did on 9/11. if you think that threat is gone and decimated, it's not. It's hiding, it's sleeping. And we're learning more and more that members are getting across the border, southern and northern. And if that's what we've identified, what scares me the most are those that we haven't. The gotaways that they're being called. That's what keeps me up at night also. AI, technology, and this, it keeps me up at night. So the quicker that we can get Alejandro Mayorkas to do his job, the better. Or the quicker we can get him out or get him to resign and get him out of there so that someone who truly has our country's best interest at heart can take over that position. I fear that's not going to happen until we get another president in the office, in the Oval Office. Thank God for members of Congress like Mark Green and Andy Ogles and others. Andy Ogles just went to the border. I think he just got back from the border. I'm sure he will have plenty of stories to tell us, the people of Tennessee, and members of Congress there in Washington, D.C. At least I hope so. 615-737-9986. John in Woodbury, welcome to WTN. Glad you called.
Good afternoon, Pamela. How are you?
Fabulous.
Good. I want to talk about this two-tiered justice system.
Sure.
On January 6th is one of the worst days I've ever had in America in 7 decades. There was literally a coup attempted. Now, at this point, there's 500 or 600 people doing time, and yet the lying lifetime con man is not. I realize he's out on bail and stuff, but at some point, we've got to put Trump in jail. He's going to lose the election nationally for fun. It's not even going to be close, and he's going to jump on that plane and try to fly to Russia, and I'm hoping that we shoot it down.
Okay, so you just called for the assassination of a former president?
I'm calling for the...
No, you just called for the assassination of a former president?
No, I'm calling for justice. A fugitive from justice.
Mason? Got his number? All right. John? I take it that you don't like Donald Trump, and I get that. But when you call for the death of an individual, you are no better than the one that you say you hate.
Well,
he's a human.
Hate is a strong word.
You just called for somebody to take down a plane of a former president, and hate is a strong word. I'm out of here. Bye. Thank you for your phone call.
Yeah, unfortunately, on our end, it doesn't show phone numbers.
615-737-9986 is the phone number. It is 147. I'm Pamela Furr. In for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement. Put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated, portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return is going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 1:54. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy. I got a super text a minute ago, and the super texts are coming in like crazy. I'm not reading, every single one of them on the air per se, but one just to point out that I'm bringing out all the crazies today. Don't you know that redheads attract crazy right off the bat? Don't you know this? This is...
Fits that Freak Out Friday vibe.
It's the freak out. I didn't say freaks call. I said freak if you're freaking out call. There is a difference. I'm teasing. Thank you, Mason. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. Yes, indeed. It is Freak Out Friday. Woo. Let's go to Ray, who wants to talk about 9/11. Hey, Ray, welcome to the Matt Murphy Show.
Well, hello, Miss Furr. How you doing?
I'm great. Are you crazy?
Well, I feel like it sometimes they're driving me in that direction anyway. So.
All right, what's up? What's your comment?
Well, it was just a comment because everybody takes all that for granted. The young people don't.
Okay, you're breaking up, Ray. Holy smokes. Are you in a clear zone? No? All right, I tell you what, Ray. Call us back when you get in a better zone. 615-737-9986. Yes, Todd says I'm amplifying Freak Out Friday by having the actual freaks on the show. All right, that's funny to me. But I have to be honest with you. The last caller, that's not funny. Now, I can sit here and I can have a debate with you about whether or not Donald Trump is the best choice for the future of this country. I can have a conversation with you about Donald Trump and whether or not all this that's going on in the world is simply a distraction and we should get back to the business of the people. That's what I can have a conversation about, but I'm never going to have a conversation about ending someone's life deliberately, as that gentleman did in the last segment. I'm never going to have a conversation about the execution of a president. I mean, what a bonehead. I'm never going to have that conversation. That is insane. And I hope law enforcement, if they need any information from me, I can certainly get it to them. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Brian in Thompson Station. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Pamela. Have you ever heard of CRISPR gene editing?
I haven't.
Okay, well, it came out about 12 years ago, and it's been perfected at this point. It's all over the world. The only place that you can't really do what you need to do with it is in America. And, for example, pigs have over 50 viruses. And they've been able to remove all the viruses from a male and female pig and let them breed, and the babies no longer have any viruses. They could do things like two mice that were born from the same mother. They took out the aging gene that promotes aging from one of the mice, and it looks like a teenage mice. And the other mouse, after all this time, is
what is it called?
Old, CRISPR, CRISPR.
Gene editing.
What I'm trying
Got
to
it.
say is there is no disease that a human being has. I'm talking cancer, AIDS, diabetes, you name it, it can be resolved right now. And the FDA is holding it up. And the only thing I can come up with, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's just too much money to be had. But you can go down to communist China or communist Russia, and they'll do it for you.
Well, I am a firm believer, and Brian, thank you for your telephone call. I'm going to have to go on that note. I am now Googling CRISPR gene editing. I am a firm believer that big pharma has been a problem in the world for a very long time. I am a firm believer that our brains have evolved, and you have enough brilliant people in this world that have figured out how to cure a lot of things, but then that takes the money out. The money, the love of money is the root of all evil. So I don't doubt what you say is true. I'm just not as familiar with it, and it sounds like I need to be. Thank you very much for your phone call. More Freak Out Friday coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Tens of thousands of customers still without power in Florida, where Hurricane Idalia made landfall Wednesday. It hit in the Big Bend region north of Tampa. ABC's Jim Ryan has more on the damage and warnings for residents to watch out for scammers.
Utility crews, insurance adjusters, and construction contractors are fanning out across the damage zone, but state officials urge caution.
After disaster, scammers often attempt to take advantage of survivors.
Florida's Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie.
Be vigilant and report any suspicious activity or price gouging to the Attorney General's office.
Outside the storm zone, fraudsters posing as relief agencies may try to solicit donations that go nowhere except into their pockets. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Tampa.
President Biden travels to Florida tomorrow to meet with first responders and tour some of the damage. The president today praising the better-than-expected jobs report with 187,000 jobs added in July. The Fed is trying to cool the labor market off a bit. ABC's Alexis Christoforous with more.
Once again, we saw wages rising more than inflation, which is good news because that means that our purchasing power is a little stronger, but not so much so that it would have the Fed be worried about inflation. Wages up 0.2% month over month, 4.3% year over year.
The hospitality and health sector showing the most job gains. The manhunt continues in Pennsylvania for a convicted killer who escaped from the Chester County prison. Police say 34-year-old Danilo Cavalate was waiting for transfer to state prison after he was sentenced in the stabbing murder of his former girlfriend in 2021. Police say he stabbed her dozens of times in front of her children. Pennsylvania State Police Captain Bob Wagner says he's extremely dangerous.
This man is very dangerous. If you see him, don't approach him and call 911.
Authorities in Oregon are also searching for an inmate there who escaped from a hospital in Salem. You're listening to ABC News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:05. Good afternoon. It's Friday. Hallelujah. As we head into this 3-day weekend, I cannot wait. Well, here's the truth. I'm not as excited about having Monday off as I am about the fact that tomorrow, college football, baby.
We're back in that spin.
I mean, we are back. It's football season, baby. I'm so excited. Roll Tide and go Vols.
I was about to say I'm going to be sporting my orange tomorrow.
Now, are you going to Nissan Stadium?
Oh, absolutely not. I wish I could, but I will be working all day tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha. All right. You'll be driving. Well, I don't know if you drive. I don't know what you'll be. I don't know what you do outside
I
of
would say
this.
I do valet stuff at a couple hotels here in Nashville.
I was going to say you're going to drive people to the game. No, you'll be checking people in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Who are going to the game. Well, it should be a great game. Say hello to my buddy Bob Kessling, who's the voice of the Vols. And then, of course, you've got Alabama. I'm a great big fan. You've got the Georgia Bulldogs, which would be, what's his name? Oh, yeah, Matt Murphy. It'll be Matt Murphy's.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Favorite team. Regardless, I just love football. That is the honest to God's truth. So I'm glad that it is football season again in America. All is right with the world. I know it's not chilly outside, but I might even make because there is an Awaken 180 chili recipe that I could make that I think would kick booty, even though it's not, the weather's still not sweater weather yet.
It's felt great in the evenings recently. I think I
might do it.
Don't celebrate too early, but I'm enjoying it for sure.
All right. So there you go. Tucker Carlson has been making some statements lately, and I know that you probably have discussed it on this here radio station. I'm going to bring it up again because I think it's interesting and fascinating, because I do believe that as we get closer to 2024, there is an enemy that is desperate to keep Donald Trump from running, number one, and number two, desperate to keep Donald Trump from winning the presidency once again. So Tucker Carlson has made some explosive predictions about President Donald Trump. And maybe this is where, and I won't get into it in this segment, but if you watch us on Super Talk TV, you can go back, you can rewind in the last hour, and you had a gentleman who does not like Donald Trump, and he made some things and statements he shouldn't have said. But Tucker Carlson was making statements more from an analytical position that Donald Trump could be assassinated, that he believes that is the next logical steps after the indictments that have been handed down against Donald Trump. He was talking to Adam Carolla, and his comment came as Russian propagandist Vladimir Solovyov. I can't say Russian names very well, but he described Carson himself as a, quote, dead man walking, suggesting that the U.S. establishment would like to see him gone too. Now, maybe I'm naive. I like to live in a world where there's always hope. I like to live in what some would describe as a rose-colored glasses world. I am aware of the dangers in this world. I'm aware of the problems in this world, but I believe that there is always hope. If you're breathing, there's always hope for change. If you're breathing, there's always a way that you can change things, your own world for the better if you're breathing. So I have a hard time believing that the, quote, establishment wants to take Tucker Carlson out. But then again, stranger things have happened. Speaking with Adam Carolla, I told you that a moment ago, Carlson said they indicted him 3 times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism and then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, then you go to indictment, none of them work. What's next? It's the next logical step, according to Tucker Carlson. And I hope that is not the case. I was not alive when JFK was assassinated. I have certainly been fascinated by the conspiracy theories that are out there. I have certainly been fascinated by the idea that we may not truly know who shot him. I'm also of the belief that it probably was Lee Harvey Oswald. But again, I mean, who knows? There's been all these theories all these years. I was alive. Now I'm telling my age here. I was alive when Ronald Reagan was shot. I was alive when I saw how that affected our country. If something were to happen to Donald Trump, I think we would see chaos in the streets. I think we would be at an all-time, I think civil war would happen. And I don't want that to happen to my country. I don't want to see neighbor pitted against neighbor, but yet with words we are. Words are very powerful. I don't want to see people setting things on fire like they did in Seattle and other places across the country after the George Floyd fiasco. I don't want to see that. And I don't want to see what happened on January 6th happen again. I don't want to see any of that. At some point, we've got to calm down. At some point, we do need to reason together and figure out what common factors we all share. You know, and I believe they are exactly what our forefathers said they were. Life, we all believe in breathing, don't we? Life. Don't we all believe in liberty? Come on. Isn't that the tie, one of the ties that binds us? And the pursuit of happiness. Don't we all believe in these three things? Or has that slowly been fading away? At least for half of the country. I don't want to see the enemy go to those great lengths to keep Donald Trump out of office. I can't understand what they're so fearful of. I guess it's losing power, but they're already losing power. Can you tell me truly one thing that Joe Biden has accomplished since he's been in office? He does not have the House, and he barely has the Senate. What has he done? Except for leave our borders wide open and make things so much more costly for individuals and pass out money to Ukraine for crying out loud. Money that we do not have to give. What has he accomplished? So why in the world would a thinking human being who wears a D on their name, they're a Democrat or they vote liberally, whatever, why in the world would you vote for someone that made things more expensive for you to exist and made things more dangerous for you to exist because of our open borders at this point? Why would you vote for that? Number 3, look at the polling that's out there. The majority of Americans believe that Joe Biden is cognitively deficient because of his age, that dementia is setting in. But yet they would still vote for him come November 2024. How is this possible? How does this make any sense? There must be something they're putting in the water for us to drink that are making people crazy. It's crazy to me. It's nuts. I don't get it. And yet that's what we're up against come November 2024. We have to stay involved. But in my opinion, the fight isn't by screaming and yelling at one another. It's by reasonably coming together and having a discussion about things that bind us together. And when you find that common ground, then explain the things that are important to you are also important to me. And the way that Joe Biden and others, Schumer, Pelosi, Schiff, all those guys, have made things in this country, the things that bind us are fading away. I can't pursue happiness like I was able to pursue it just 3 years ago because it costs more. I can't pursue happiness the way I was able to 3 years ago because walking down a city street, I might get gunned down, run down, raped, whatever, because the criminal element has been allowed to get through our borders and live in our cities and our towns. Children are being abducted. Human trafficking issues right here in our backyard. Had a conversation with someone the other night. It never even dawned on me, little Miss Rose-colored glasses, I suppose, that children human trafficking would be a problem in the state of Tennessee. Never dawned on me. I figured it was more of a problem in Florida, in Miami, or at the borders in Texas, or Arizona, or New Mexico. But Tennessee? It's a wake-up call for Pamela to take off those rose-colored glasses and see that the pursuit of happiness, even for our children, is being taken away because of the problems that we have in the White House and the way and the policies that have been, what's the word, forced on us as Americans. Our children are in danger. It's crazy to me. So now Sister Pamela is all freaked out. It is Freak Out Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. I know Dan and Robert are on the line. If you can hold on the line, and others, we will come back with your phone calls on Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986. Get on the line, or you can super text us. We'll be back in a minute. It is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:22. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy on this fine Friday afternoon. Matt Murphy, of course, it's his birthday today. Have we said? I think he popped his head in here earlier. I'm not sure, but is he going to have cake? Because I know he's trying to lose weight like I am.
I don't know.
I don't know if cake is available.
I know he enjoys cake, and I know he's a pie guy.
He's a pie guy?
I think so.
How do you know he's a pie guy?
We had a long conversation about desserts
pie?
a while ago.
All right.
We're saying if you could pick one dessert that you could have for the rest of your life and it not affect anything like health-wise or anything, what would you pick?
Ooh, what?
Like a topic. So is it ice cream, cookies, cake, pie?
Lord have mercy.
I know.
Because I go in different phases. So I normally, devour chocolate cake. My hips can tell you that is the case. But after I had COVID, I don't taste chocolate the same as I used to. So
Me too, yeah.
So it's changed for me. Chocolate tastes different these days. So now, I do like some pie.
I was like, pie's really good. That's a great choice,
Pie's pretty
too.
good. I would have said chocolate pie, but again, that's tasted a little. So I would say for me, it would have to be apple pie warm with vanilla ice cream on it.
That sounds so good.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. What was it for you?
My topic or my kind of general dessert I would love to have is cookies. I don't know why.
Just cookies?
Just
any
cookies
kind?
in general. I'm a big oatmeal raisin fan for sure.
Yeah.
But like homemade chocolate chip cookies are
have
great.
you had the Christie cookie with the macadamia nuts
No,
and white chocolate?
I haven't, but I've heard good things about
Christie cookie.
I've heard
Pick it
good
up.
things.
That was a free plug. All right, 615-737-9986. By the way, if you didn't know, it is Freak Out Friday. Yes, indeed. 615. No pie for you. No,
Hey,
no cookie
I have
for
the
you.
wrong button queued up. Hold on here.
All right, let's go to Robert. 615-737-9986. Hey, Robert.
Hello. The problem I think that conservatives are having and been having for a while is we focus on a person, Joe Biden right now, and Hunter Biden. We need to, they're evil, they're bad. It isn't the person that's bad, it's the party that's bad. It doesn't matter who Joe Biden gets replaced with. If he gets replaced with another Democrat, it will be exactly the same, probably even worse, because they continue to ratchet it up.
Well, and their our ideology does not fit with their ideology. So it is about ideology. But I would say Biden, though, is a bad man. I'm sorry. I don't think he remembers how corrupt he was. I have to be honest with you. But it is about the person. He was not a good person.
Would it be better if Kamala was president? You really, okay, she...
Have you ever heard me say it would be better with Kamala as president? Of course not.
No, that's what I'm saying. Pick the Democrat. Pick any of them that you want. Joe Manchin, that's the one that some conservatives are dumb enough to like. It would be no different with him. We have nothing in common. We truly need a separated country at this point. I have as much in common with a liberal as I do with the Taliban. It's really to that point. We have nothing in common. There is no bridge back. You say that we can use logic. And have you ever talked to a true liberal and tried to explain something logically?
Well, I have. And but Robert, I contend that Republicans are just as bad. They get so set in their ways that they won't listen either. So you've got two sides.
Yes.
They've got two sides that aren't listening to each other at all and finding no common ground. I'm saying if both sides, would look for that common ground and then go from there, we could accomplish things. But both sides are just as stubborn.
Okay, I'll be the liberal. You tell me what we would have that would be. Just seriously, one thing that we would have in common.
Do you?
I can't think of anything.
I'm trying to ask you, do you, as a liberal, believe in life?
No.
You don't believe in
life? I should be able
life?
to kill a baby at any point that I want to, and I should be able to kill old people once they get to a point where they're no longer useful on society and they become a burden.
You're saying all liberals believe that?
I'm saying that's the liberal position.
That is not the liberal position.
Oh, it most certainly is.
That is the Democrat. That is Robert. Calm down for just a minute. Calm down. All right. I would say that is some liberal position. That's not all liberal positions. I would say that is some Democrat positions. That's not all Democrat positions. There are some
Can you say that all
I would love.
Republicans-
Can I finish? Can I finish? I feel like what?
go
Can
ahead.
I finish? Can I finish? Not all. So I mean, you can't. I don't want to lump everybody into the crazy side and the extreme liberal. Just like I don't want to lump all Republicans as the extreme right either. I'm saying that all of us, liberals and conservatives, believe in breathing. Would you say yes to that?
No, they would kill Donald Trump today if they could.
All liberals would kill.
You really don't understand.
All
You really don't
liberals,
understand
Robert,
liberals.
if you're going to yell at me, we're going to end this. You believe all liberals want to see Donald Trump dead.
I don't think all of anything ever.
But that's what you just
when
said.
When you try to go to the extremes,
That's
you're
what
the one
you
going
just
to the extremes,
said.
not me.
You just
You're
said.
going to the extremes. All.
I
We have to
asked
say
you,
majority. We have
do
to say the
liberals
party.
believe in breathing? Your answer could
No.
be some do.
No, I don't believe they do.
All right, then
I don't
you're
believe
the
they do. I don't believe
extreme.
in the same way
Okay,
you do.
Robert, we're going in circles. Then you're the extreme. We're
You're
gonna
exactly
end
right,
this.
'cause your circle
We're
is
gonna
weird.
end this now. Have a good day. All right, 615-737. My circle is weird. Was that his comment at the end? My circle is weird. Okay, Dan in Franklin.
Oh, Pamela, you're having too much fun. So nice to speak with you. Enjoy hearing you on the show. I just want to put up my 2 dessert ideas. Number one, what you said about hot apple pie with vanilla ice cream made my mouth water. And shout out to all of the men out there that love chocolate mint chip, because that's the way to
That's
go.
a good
What a great
one.
flavor.
That's a good one. See, can you say,
so what
Dan,
I
hold
wanted to
on.
talk
Can
about-
you say that liberals like ice cream?
Liberals like ice cream, they like breathing, and they have something in common with us that we all have in common. You know what that is?
What is it?
Fear. We all have fear. But the Democrats, liberals, and leftists, they believe that the solutions to what they fear come from government, come from unions, come from teachers' unions, come from big organizations that say, we're going to take care of you. And Republicans and conservatives in general believe that they are the solutions for their own problems, that the Constitution is in place to help organize the government in ways to do what it's supposed to do, but also to stay out of people's lives. And they also, in general, by and large, conservatives, Republicans, right-wing wackos like us, we believe in God.
We believe in
And
God. Dan, I'm
these
telling
are the
you.
differences, but yes, but what we have in common, what that last guy we have in common, remember, is we have fear in common. We all have fear.
That is
But now,
that's
how
really
do we
good,
go
Dan. I mean,
about
I let me interrupt you here because I don't have a choice because I've got to take a break here. But I would say that's really good. You're right. That is one thing we all have in common is fear. It's how we handle that fear and what we do with that fear that is separating us right now. 100%.
Amen.
Dan,
Yes.
thank you. So good.
You're welcome.
And now I'm craving chocolate chip mint ice cream. It is 2:32. We'll take more of your calls when we come back. It is Freak Out Friday. Some think because it is Freak Out Friday, we are absolutely attracting the crazies. That's what I'm getting the feedback on the super text line.
They've just held it in all week, and they're finally
Is that
letting it out. 'cause
I
it's
also
Freak
think
Out
it might
Friday.
be the full moon that's been out there lately.
Yeah, there's that, the blue moon
And
that
look,
came a couple days ago.
I'll make this last statement because I was really trying to have a conversation with Robert, but he wouldn't meet me halfway. The human beings have things in common. Human beings like to breathe. Now, I would agree that there are liberals that believe in abortion. They don't believe in a baby's life in the mother's womb. They don't think it's life till it's outside of the womb. I believe that there are liberals who believe that. But did you know that there are some Democrats who don't believe in abortion? Did you know that? Now,
I have Democratic friends who believe in pro-life.
Who are
Yeah,
pro-life
absolutely.
Democrats. So to put everybody in the same basket, that's the problem. That's why we can't get anything accomplished. That's why we're always arguing like Robert did a moment ago. They were always yelling. No one's listening. They're talking, they're yelling. And you could say that about me too, I guess, but that's why I'm here. I'm supposed to be talking. It's 2:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 2:37, Freak Out Friday. I'm Pamela Furr, in for Matt Murphy, who's spending his birthday with his family and those who love him. And he'll be gone all next week as well. And he will return, I believe, on September the 11th. I will be filling in. Thank you for this opportunity today. Got some people freaking out on the phone, people freaking out on super text lines. I encourage you to not divulge in a name calling, for crying out loud. Again, you get nowhere, and I don't care if you're a liberal or if you're a conservative. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, but you get nowhere when you start calling people names. That you've lost the conversation. You've lost the argument when you go that route, in my opinion. And of course, somebody will call me a name just for even saying that. 737-9986. Let's go to Troy in Winchester. Hey, Troy.
Pamela, love you. This idea come up before my comment. How's the retired life?
I'm not retired.
Oh, you're not? Well, I hear you all the time on the radio, so you're not retired.
I am not retired, no.
I used to live in Iowa, and we had a senator there called, his name was Charles Grassley, and I wasn't that happy with him at sometimes, but he, in some of his decisions, but he was being political about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to move ahead while not necessarily giving the true conservative, but still making a point and still hanging in there. And look at the position he's in now. I mean, he is like the head of the financial department committee. That's the biggest committee there is. And then hot apple pie with cinnamon ice cream.
All right. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate your phone call. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Robin, who's in the borough. Hey, Robin.
Hi, Pam.
Hi.
How are you, darling?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm super. Listen, I've been listening to you speak to a few people, and I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand. So many people throw around the phrase extreme, quote, liberals and extreme, quote, conservatives, extreme, quote, Democrats, and extreme, quote, Republicans. But is there a difference in your mind, since you're the one that I've been listening to and have heard those comments from both sides, you and the people you're speaking with? Is there a difference between an extreme Republican and an extreme Democrat or liberal or conservative? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, is there a difference? I would say there's no difference when in the extremes, in that their beliefs go to the outer edges of things. So in that case, they're the same. But obviously, conservatives believe in, you go get the conservative handbook from Phil Valentine, our beloved Phil Valentine. But we believe in personal responsibility. We believe that we can do more than the government can do for us. I mean, I can go down the long list of things. Liberals believe that the government should be providing it for us. Do they not?
Right. But what I'm trying to get to, Ms. Pam, is what is your definition of let's say, for instance, an extreme conservative? Or I believe that was the comment you made. You either said extreme conservative or extreme Republican.
Well, there are those that would say, I'm only going to give you examples here. Okay. So if there is someone that is so hardcore on gun rights, you should be able to carry a gun, period. That's it. No questions asked. You should be able to carry it, God-given right to do so. Our Second Amendment says you can carry it at all times, any time of the day, no matter what. No, there are no exceptions to the rule, without actually looking at, maybe we should make sure that the nuts aren't carrying them. Maybe we should make sure that murderers, when they get out of prison, shouldn't be owning a gun anymore. I mean, there are exceptions to the rules, but there are those who are so extreme that they can't see that there should be some exceptions to some of those rules. Then you have the extreme left over here, that says all guns should be confiscated, all guns should be, melted in some sort of vat, that no one should own a weapon. I mean, so that's the extreme side of it. So there's your two extreme examples on that, and neither one are good.
Okay. Well, I don't personally believe there's any conservative that thinks a murderer, someone that's killed someone, needs to be walking around with a gun.
There are those that do.
Well, I've never heard one, but I believe you. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You.
I don't know that we hang out with extremes. Most of us are right here in the middle. Most of us are, you've got just your common everyday liberals, and you've got your common everyday conservatives. Most don't live on the extreme side, so neither one of us have probably met any like that, but they are out there.
Okay. So I have one other question about that topic, if you don't mind. As far as, let's say, a true white supremacist, someone that hates black people and wants to see all black people dead. Now, they consider themselves conservatives. And now, is that something you would consider extreme conservative?
Well, I don't know if I would consider. I don't know. I don't know the person you would be referring to. I think it would have to be a case-by-case basis. But in general, white supremacy is not a conservative belief, is it?
No.
So I wouldn't put them in that category.
I don't believe that it is, but a lot of people believe that it is. But one other question.
I think that's what hang on, Robin, but you say a lot of people say that. I would say that there is a narrative out there that they're trying to make people believe that white supremacists are conservative. So I think that's the narrative that's out there that's being told, and it's not true.
You're right. The other question I have for you is, I heard a conversation about president or Democrats. Democrats, and I believe your co-host said he knows Democrats that do not believe in abortion, that are pro-life. I've never met a Democrat that's pro-life. I've met Democrats that are on the fence about it, and they think, well, a woman should be able to abort if the baby's not a certain age.
How long have you lived in this area?
You mean in Tennessee?
Yeah.
About 10 years.
Okay, so then you're not familiar with Bob Clement. Do you know Bob Clement? Bob Clement was a member of Congress for many years, right? From 1998 to 2003. He was before Jim Cooper for District Number 5 here in Tennessee. Bob Clement was the brother of my pastor's wife at Christ Church. Bob Clement was a Democrat. And Bob Clement was a pro-life Democrat. Okay. So there's one, and there are a ton of them. Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not there.
But without a doubt, they voted Democrat.
He was a member of Congress for the Democrat Party.
Right. So without a doubt, he voted for a Democrat president.
He was a member of the Democrat Party and represented the 5th Congressional District of Tennessee.
What I'm trying to get at is that I have never known of one Democrat president that these Democrats are voting for that has ever been.
But that's not what you said earlier. So you keep moving the goalposts on me, Robin. But thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Rick in Crossville. Hey, Rick, how's it going?
Hello, Miss Pam. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I wanted to say happy birthday to Matt. I love his show. I love your show.
Thank you.
I love WTN. I live in Jackson, Tennessee, but I haul the mail every day, Monday through Friday, and I listen to y'all's show. And I wanted to say, whoever gets president, whether it's somebody we don't like or somebody we tolerate, God is going to put there exactly who he wants to. And
everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, whether we like it or not. You know that, Miss Pam.
I do.
And,
And I do believe that. But, I mean, we have to do our part, and we have to stay involved, and we have to stay active. And we have to, you know what I mean? So, because I don't know, because we don't know what the future holds. God does, yes. And everything, all things work together for good, you know the verse.
Yes,
but we have to stay involved. Thank you, Rick, for your phone call. I appreciate it. Let's take one more before we head to a break here on Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986. Is that Keenan, am I saying that right? Or
It's Kenyon.
Kenyon, I'm sorry, Kenyon. Hey, Kenyon.
Hey, Pam. So I just, I guess we're showing our age when we're laughing about, can I finish?
See, every time I'd say that, I started laughing myself, thinking, I can't think of the dude's name, and I can see his face. Plain as day. Thank you, Ross Perot. Yes.
Ross was running for president, and they were in a debate. And they were on stage, and he got upset. He goes, "Can I finish? Can't I finish?" It's just hilarious. And when you said it the first two times, I was like, "Well, that sounds like Ross Perot." And then you did it again.
I kept doing it, and I was laughing because I couldn't think of the dude's name. But anyway, is that it? Is that all you wanted?
Yeah,
just to laugh at me.
No, laugh with you. I wanted to laugh with you.
All right, thank you. Tell me your name again. Kenyon.
It's Kenyon. Yeah.
All right, Kenyon. Right. All right, good deal. Thank you, Kenyon. Have a good day. 615-737-9986. It is 2:50. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement, put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated, portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return's going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
All right, it is 2:56. I am Pamela Furr in for Matt Murphy for just, the next 3 minutes or so. Up next is Brian on the drive, your friend in radio, buddy, who is standing by right now. Hey, Brian.
You know, there's so many people who keep saying, what is FARB? You know, because we do this thing on Friday called Phone Your FARB Friday, and they're just people who have not figured out that, FARB is friend and radio buddy.
Friend and radio buddy.
Which is probably little, something. I've been saying it, since I got into radio, and it really is, it's sort of, corny, but it's sort of a tribute to Dave Letterman. who used to, talk about, your TV buddy or your friend on TV.
See, because when you say it, I think of Gilligan's Island with the little buddy.
Little buddy.
Yeah, that's what I think
of. That would be Dan
of.
Mandis. He's the little buddy. But no,
I didn't say that.
No, and
You said that.
So we're going to be doing, our regular Phone Your Farb Friday at 4:35 and then again at 5:35.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just going to forewarn you. Apparently, all these full moons this month have had an effect on people.
People are out there.
Some of the crazies have called in today.
Bringing out the wild cards for sure.
Well, no. Is it that because now I think honestly to try to blame this on the moon, Pamela, not really cool. I mean, obviously they're just drawn to you.
That's what everybody keeps telling me is that I'm the one that brings out the crazies.
No,
all right, fine. If I have to take credit for it, I'll take credit for it. It's certainly made it entertaining. I got to tell you something else too. So Matt Murphy. Now I'm assuming that you are aware of the problems in the past between Matt Murphy and Congressman Andy Ogles.
I've heard, yeah.
They hugged it out yesterday. I was a witness, 100%. So I'll have to call you later and give you all the details because I don't know that we'll have enough time here. But yes, they were at an event last night, and Matt Murphy on stage said, you know what, we got off on the wrong foot, and I was wrong about you, Andy, and I'm sorry about it. This is not verbatim, of course. And then Andy walked back up on stage, extended his hand. They shook hands and then hugged each other like brothers.
And who brought it in for the hug? That's the important thing.
Oh, I don't know which one. I wasn't looking.
It was a spontaneous hug.
I wasn't looking to see which one. Yeah, it felt more spontaneous. I wasn't looking to see who did it first. But no kissing. There was no kisses on the cheek or anything like that.
No, we don't do that.
So that was, I guess, a birthday gift for Matt Murphy.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. And he's off enjoying his birthday as he should.
As he should, indeed. All right, The Drive with Brian Wilson coming up right after the news on WTN. Happy Friday.